צבעים על הירח אני שט איתו, שלם עם הגורל אני בוטח בו, והעולם זוהר איזה נור. תמיד חלמתי שתהיה לי סיבה לשמוח, גם אם לפעמים קשה, אם תיתן לי כוח לשתות את החיים כמו יין, לא לוותר עדיין. תמיד חלמתי שתהיה לי סיבה לזרוח, החופש נגע בי, זו הרגשה שלא הכרתי, בדרך שכחתי ליהנות. תמיד חלמתי שתהיה לי סיבה לשמוח, גם אם לפעמים קשה, אם תיתן לי כוח לשתות את החיים כמו יין, לא לוותר עדיין. תמיד חלמתי שתהיה לי סיבה לזרוח, החופש נגע בי, זו הרגשה שלא הכרתי, בדרך שכחתי ליהנות.
הגיע הזמן להתעורר, לעזוב הכל, להתגבר, לשוב הביתה, לא לחפש מקום אחר. הגיע הזמן להשתנות, גם אם פספסנו תחנות, אפשר לרדת, יש רכבת, חזרה לשכונות. הכל... תשיב בי את הרוח, תוריד ממני את הגשם, היה לי ים זמן לנוח, התרגלתי קצת בעצם, ובמרחב הפתוח רואים באופק את השמש, אין ספק אני בטוח, בסוף עוד תתבהר הדרך. רק פתח לנו שערי אמונה, שערי הבנה, שאין לנו מלך אלא אתה, סיבת הסיבות, עילת העילות, נורת העילות, ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות. מציאות אחרת, לפדות את אסירי הכוח ולחודי הרשת, גם לקבל את השחור לבן עם כל צבעי הקשת. משנה אבות פרק ג', חביב אדם שנברא בצלם, רק פתח לנו שערי החלה, שערי התחלה, כי אין לנו מלך אלא אתה, סיבת הסיבות, עילת העילות, נורת העילות, ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות. רק אתה, סיבת הסיבות, עילת העילות, נורת העילות, ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות. תשיב בי.
ילד מכין בסלון שיעורים בהיסטוריה, הוא לא שומע צלצול פעמון, בא בשעה שהטונה פולשת לטרויה, אבא נכנס עם קופסת עוגיות ועיתון, אמא לאבא סודות על האוזן לוחשת, ילד שומע קטעים בשיחה, לאלכסנדר מוקדום יש חצי היבשת, אבא אומר שחצי המשכורת הלכה, ובתוך הדפים של הזמן שעבד אנשים נגמרים ברגע אחד, אימפריות נופלות, כל הדברים הסתדרו, כך אבא מרגיע, אמא עכשיו משיבה בחיוך, חייל האימפריה אל קצה היבשת מגיע, ילד נרדם וחולם על קרבות שהיו, ובתוך הדפים של הזמן שעבר אנשים נגמרים ברגע אחד, אימפריות נופלות, בתוך הדפים של הזמן שעבר אנשים נגמרים ברגע אחד, אימפריות נופלות,
הזינוק לפני המרוץ, בו אני ואת עומדים לרוץ בכדי לשבור את השיא שלי ושלה. שהוא לא גבוה ולא נמוך, שיא ממוצע שאני לא רוצה ואת לא רוצה, רוצים גבוה בשמיים לגוע. ואני מתבלבל ונופל, ואני מתבלבל ונופל, יריית הזינוק את פותחת מהר ואני אחרייך, אני לא מוותר, עומד בקצב שאת מכתיבה, והקצב מהיר כל הזמן מתגבר, אף אחד מאיתנו על כוחו לא שומר, נדמה שקו הסיום מתרחק עוד יותר. הקפה האחרונה לי יש קשיי נשימה, אני מפסיק לרוץ, הולך לפינה ורואה איך את חלומך את מגשימה. ואני מתבלבל ונופל,
כשאני יוצא מזה אני קונה מתנות לכולם, כשאני יוצא מזה אני איש חדש בעולם, כשאני יוצא מזה ואני יוצא מזה סולם זהב בקצה של בור, הגוף יש לו סוף, לנשמה אין הסוף, אין הסוף, אין לשינוי לצמוח, אל תפחד מהפחד, את מי אני אוהב אותך אותי, למי אני נאמן לך
For the past decade, the IAC has been building a community nationwide, turning the Israeli-American story into a living bridge and creating a home for anyone with Israel at heart. Through our secret sauce, Israeliness, we connect young Israeli and Jewish Americans to Israel, mobilizing our communities to act when needed and inspiring new community leaders. Our community inspires our young generation's passion to fall in love with Israel by connecting young families to Israel's spirit, culture, and the Hebrew language, igniting teen excitement and engagement with Israel through innovation and entrepreneurship, inspiring college student leaders to bring Israel to the heart of campuses across the nation, building a network of young adults that share a passion and love for Israel, leveraging technology to make Israel education cutting edge, accessible, and affordable to anyone, and fostering a strong connection to Jewish text, values, and traditions. When our home and families in Israel and here in America are threatened, we do not stand still. We proactively organize, energize, and mobilize our community in support of Israel and the Jewish people. Whether in its public schools, on college campuses, and in our communities, we stand together. For over a decade, the IAC has developed and inspired new community leaders that become change makers in our Jewish and Israeli community and promote the vision of a strong and resilient connection between the people of America and Israel. This is who we are, the IAC, a nationwide community with Israel in our heart and in our spirit.
Please welcome Tal Schuster and Professor Avi Almozlino, IAC National Board Co-Chairs.
Good evening, IAC. There are more than 3,000 individuals attending this conference. It is truly inspiring to see you all here, Israeli Americans from the East, the West, and all over the United States. You came here from many places, and yet Israeli Americans are all one big community. And being here together tonight make this community even more unified. We also have here with us quite a few friends from Israel and Jewish communities and dear supporters of Israel and the IAC.
Since the establishment of the Israeli-American Council, the IAC has been a welcoming home for Israelis and American Jews. It's a nurturing organization, the unbreakable love between the United States and Israel. We also empower the Israeliness and the community through educational programs, through initiation, civic engagement initiation, and conferences like tonight.
This evening, however, we gather to remember and reflect on the tragic events that unfolded on that fateful morning of October 7th.
The Israeli-American community is deeply impacted, identified, feels the pain, and support Israel and our local communities since the brutal attack of Hamas. We know want to welcome chairs of the IAC Washington, D.C. chapter, Nurit, Kombi, and Asher Kotz.
Good evening, dear friends. It is truly inspired to see all of us gathering here in Washington. All of us Israeli American experience deep, deep feelings of shock, sadness, and fear on October 7. We all have a friend, a family, member of or neighbor who lost someone on October 7. I myself had a personal family loss of Aviv and Livnat Kotz and their 3 children from Kibbutz Kfar Aza who were murdered by Hamas. We here in the US have been engaged in a wide range of activities to support Israel, the Israeli communities, and the IDF. We have also supported our local communities here in the US to fight against antisemitism in school, in universities, and other public institutions. Moreover, members of our community are engaging at their workspaces to advocate for Israel and strengthen the economic development between Israel and the US, especially now in these difficult times.
As an Israeli American, the October 7th attacks shook me and how I see the world we live in. It has shaken our whole community, and together we all felt that we have to do all we can do to support Israel. Our people, our soldiers, our future. Yes, we took a huge hit, but we're strong. Many of our kids are making an aliyah and joining the IDF, my daughter included. My friend's son, Omer Balva, which I have to mention here, did the same, and we lost him in the first week of war. Omer grew up right here in Rockville. As Israeli Americans and Jews, we have a mission to hold our hands strong together in times like this. Here in Washington, D.C. region, many of us relentlessly volunteered, donated, took initiatives to help Israel. For example, we built an operations center in Jerusalem with countless volunteers who are cooking and sending over 2,000 Shabbat meals to our soldiers in the Gaza borders and the North borders since the war started until today, every Shabbat. We have joined other organizations such as the JCC, the local synagogues, the Chabad chapters, Tzav Shmone, all of them to carry out rallies for Israel and Kabbalat Shabbat at the Lincoln Memorial. Of course, we were part of the amazing 300,000 people march in November. Thank you. This could have not have happened without the support of our amazing community. We have done plenty, and together we all will do much, much more. Thank you. As Israelis who are also proud Americans, it's our tradition to sing at these events the national anthems of our both cherished homes.
All, please rise for the national anthem of the United States of America, followed by the national anthem of the State of Israel. Both will be performed by Leah Bay.
but so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleamed, whose broad streams and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombers still in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, she does that star-spangled for the land of the free, and the hope of the
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthem of the State of Israel.
קולות בלב בנימה, נפש יהודי הומייה, ובתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון סופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים.
That was wonderful. Beautiful, yeah, thank you. Please rise again. We're going to rise for a moment of silence in the memory of our brave fallen of the October 7 attack and our fallen of the Iron Sword War. Thank you very much.
You may sit down.
מדינת ישראל תחת מתקפה בשעה 6:30.
Without warning, violence and chaos
שלום לכם, שבת שלום לכם, 7 באוקטובר 2023, ישראל במצב מלחמה.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה.
Almost a year ago, in the middle of Simchat Torah, a reality shattered in Israel. and in the Jewish communities around the globe.
Palestinian protesters converge on an exhibit in New York.
My name is Avishai Ben Tzvi, and I am from Kibbutz Nir Oz, currently living in Alpharetta, Georgia. On October 7, at 8:30 in the morning, terrorists invaded my father's home in Kibbutz Nir Oz. My father, Amitai, was 80 years old and suffered from Parkinson's disease. At the time, he was with his Filipino caregiver, Jimmy Pacheco. My father begged Jimmy to leave him and run for his life, but Jimmy refused. My father was shot to death in his bed. Before setting the house on fire, the terrorists abducted Jimmy and took him to Gaza. Jimmy was released after 49 days in captivity as part of a deal.
My name is Rotten Cooper. I live in San Diego, California, but I was born and raised in Kibbutz Nir Oz. On October 7, over 110 members of the kibbutz were murdered or kidnapped. Among them were my parents, 85 years old Amiram and 79 years old Nurit, who were brutally abducted from their home shortly after my last phone conversation with them that morning. My mother was released, but my father, one of the kibbutz founders, was killed after surviving 4 months in captivity, and his body is still held in Gaza.
My name is Hilal Umi Levi, and I'm from Cresskill, New Jersey. My niece Ronnie Eshel proudly served as a lookout expert at the Nahal Oz base. When the horrific attack began, Ronnie was in the Situation Room with our fellow lookouts, courageously and repeatedly reporting the brutal infiltration by the Nukhba terrorists. After several hours, Hamas terrorists overtook the Situation Room and set it on fire, with the girls trapped inside. The family misses Ronnie very much. With each passing day, her absence is felt even more. Ronnie was just 19 years old, a young woman with her entire life ahead of her.
My name is Michal Waldman, and I live in Tampa, Florida. On October 7th, my cousin Yair Yaakov was kidnapped from his home along with his 2 children, Or and Yagil, and his partner Merav. While his family was released in November, Yair remained in captivity. In February, we received the shocking news that Hamas had filmed the torture and murder of Yair on October 7th. His body is still being held in Gaza. We are shattered. The mental torture of fighting for his return while feeling utterly helpless as we try to live our life each day is nearly unbearable. His son Or wrote, "Dad, please watch over me from heaven."
תודה רבה על המעילים המטורפים של הפרק שתרמתם לנו. Thank you very much.
an arm to say that we will not stand for this.
We are here to spread the truth.
Stand with Israel.
We are not going anywhere.
Hands up if you're a Zionist!
I'm Israel Chai.
Today we are strong. Am Israel Chai!
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we can walk it out. Move rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, rise like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. The day I rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Rise up, and I'll rise like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
לפחות לנסות, עתירי, איך בסוף אחרי ההפסדים הניצחון הרבה יותר מתוק, אני אלוף העולם.
Shalom, good evening. I'm honored to be here with all of you.
My name is Tamar Ishalom. Tonight, we wish to commemorate the victims and heroes of October 7. We are here to remember the horrific events of that cursed Shabbat, to remember the victims of that day and of the ongoing Iron Swords War. We also wish to honor the soldiers of the IDF, some of whom are here with us, who put their lives on the line. They deserve it. Day in and day out, defending Israeli civilians and the future of the State of Israel. Tonight and in the next 3 days, we will unite in our shared love for Israel. We'll do more than unite in our love for Israel. We'll forge that love into action. We'll strengthen the bonds between us, proving that distance cannot diminish our connection. Now, more than ever, as Israeli Americans face defining challenges, it is time to stand together and reclaim the power of community. We have an extraordinary program ahead. You'll hear fascinating stories of courage and resilience. You'll meet inspiring speakers. And yes, we'll even sing and dance together. Because that's who we are. We always rise up. We always choose life. We always find joy, even in the darkest times. The IAC community. That's who we are. The IAC community has come together many times over the last year. We came together to share our sorrow, our tears, our pride, our hope, and our love to Israel. Now let us all join in a special prayer for the return of the hostages, for the safety of the IDF soldiers, and in memory of the fallen. To lead the prayer, please welcome Rabbi Steinitz, Rabbi Adam J. Raskin, and Efi Yahalomi, sister of hostage Ohad Yahalomi.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Hagein aleh be'evrat chazdecha, ufros aleh sukat shlomecha, ushalach archa ve'amitcha, l'roshea, sareh v'yoatzeh, v'taknein be'itza tova milefanecha. Chazek et yidei miginei eretz kodshenu, v'anchilein Eloheinu Yeshua v'atara, v'natata shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam liyoshvea, v'nomar amen.
משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל ואנשי כוחות הביטחון, העוסקים על משמר ארצנו וערי אלוהינו, מגבול הלבנון ועד מדבר מצרים, ומן הים הגדול ועד לבוא הערבה, ביבשה, באוויר ובים. הקדוש ברוך הוא ינצור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה ומצוקה, ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם. ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם, ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ועטרת ניצחון, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם, עם אויביכם להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן.
משברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, יוסף, משה ואהרון, הוא יברך וישמור וינצור את כל אחינו הנתונים בצרה ובשביה, ויצילם ויוציאם מחושך וצל מוות, וממאסר לחירות ומשעבוד לגאולה, וישיבם מהרה לחיק משפחתם, לחיים ולשלום. וישלח להם עזר מצר, ויאמר די לצרותיהם, ויעלה אותם במהרה ממעמקים, ויוציאם מאפלה לאור גדול. בזכות אבותינו הקדושים, בזכות עקדת יצחק ורחמי שמיים, אמן.
Toda. 251 people were violently kidnapped from the western Negev to Gaza on October 7. The oldest of them, Shlomo Mansour, was then 85 years old. The youngest, Kfir Bibas, only 9 months old. 117 hostages had since been returned to Israel, along with 37 bodies. 97 hostages are still being held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Some of them were reportedly killed. One of those who have been to hell and returned home is 27 years old Andrei Kozlov. Andrei immigrated to Israel from Russia only a couple of years ago after he participated in the Masa internship program. On October 7, he was working as a security guard at the Nova Music Festival and was abducted by Hamas. After 8 long months in captivity, Andrei was rescued from Gaza along with 3 other hostages by Israeli special forces in the heroic Operation Arnon. These days, Andrei is meeting with communities across the United States and beyond. We wish to thank the Israeli Ministry of Diaspora Affairs for bringing him to us as well. Please welcome Andrei Kozlov.
הרבה אנשים יש פה. Wow. I need to pinch myself. I don't sleep. Hey, everybody. My name is Andrei Kozlov, and I am Russian-Israeli. You already probably know I was a hostage of Hamas for 246 days without any card. Tell me somebody 2 years ago it will happen with me. Yeah, hard to believe. Thank you very much for having me tonight here in America. I'm so happy to be here, really. I'm here tonight, free, and speaking with you for one reason. I was rescued by IDF soldiers and elite counter-terrorism operatives. One of those brave men was named Arnon Zmora. And he was killed by terrorists while rescuing me. Aaron was one of my saviors and my personal hero. I would like to ask you to rise and join me in a moment of silence for him. May his memory be a blessing. Thank you. I would like to tell you about 5 days in my life. 5 days that define who I am as a man and tell you how and why I am here today. The first is August 28, 2022, the day I arrived in Israel. I started to collect all my papers for Aliyah in October 2021. My choice fell on Israel because of a lot of reasons. Included, it's a land my Jewish grandfather told me about my entire childhood. I was a regular guy who just decided to move and study in another country. And 2 years ago, I did it, just 3 weeks before mobilization in Russia. I felt like I started a new life. Inspiration, new opportunities, sea, sun, dreams. My story is probably like those of so many Americans who come to Israel every year. It started with Taglit, Birthright, and Masa. 7 months passed, and I started to build my life in a new place. The second day to tell you about is October 7th, 2023. The day my life and the world changed, totally changed. Yes, sometimes life's gifts are not so nice. I was in country a little bit more than 1 year. I came from one war to another. Good start, I think. I first knew what was happening the way most of you did, from Google and Telegram, but after I heard the rockets and I saw the terrorists. And because I'm here now, you know that every step I took somehow was the right one to survive. Every direction where I choose to run, I found a car to get into. I cut my t-shirt not on purpose with barbed wire. I jumped from a cliff, and I remember this survive mode. Still remember. Then, didn't send any bye messages to my family. There is no need. You are totally sure that you come back, as was me. We were brought to Gaza, our hands tied behind our backs and blindfolded. Then one of them removed my blindfold, and he signed with his hands that he will kill me the next day. After, he showed me that he loved me. That was mine October 7th. The next day to know about was November 2nd. We were being held in a noisy area, so we heard people moving all day, until everybody from outside took something from their homes and left this area. Even all our guards left. One of them stayed with a big knife and rubber stick reading his Quran and praying. We were waiting for the house to be bombed, expecting to die during an hour and a half. This was one of the scariest moments I can remember. But every day in Gaza was terrible, every day. I also remember one night, it's my personal record, I heard 486 bombs, only for one night. Some people count ships to fall asleep. I counted bombs. That night, I didn't sleep. That whole time, I worked to stay alive. I fought to keep the fear away, including my greatest one, that I would never see my family again, that they would never even find my body. Now, I am so happy to say what I wanted to say, and I already did it, of course. Mom, my dad, Dima, grandmothers, grandfather, aunt, I love you. Thank you. The next day I want to tell you about was June 8, 2024. The day I was rescued along with Shlomi Ziv, Almog Meir Jan, and Noah Argamani. The day I was one of the very, very few lucky hostages who were rescued. I remember that feeling, one of chance to gain freedom you just have to reach for. But only at helicopter out of Gaza, I believed, I'm finally free. My parents arrived in Israel from Russia on next day. Only then I could breathe again. It's a feeling I fought for, a feeling that I survived for, and it's a feeling that remaining hostages must have, as me. The fifth and final day I must tell you about is today. Because today I stand in front of all of you. I don't have idea which rules and laws this crazy world has. Somebody dies, somebody gets what he prayed about. I know only one thing. I'm still that regular guy who I was before. Now, fortunately for me, I am able to influence a little. Nobody can understand feelings of hostages. Nobody. But we have to remember that 101 hostages are still in Gaza. Probably they don't know nothing, that they are underground, most of them. They don't drink and don't eat enough. And they pray every day to come back home, already 11 months. They don't know nothing, most of them. When will they come back? Will they even come back? Will they die today or not? They think about death every day, as me. They're angry, sad, weak, defenseless. And all of this accompanied by hopelessness. I'm appealing to all leaders, please, please, bring them all home. We must find a way to bring them all home for free before their time runs out. Thank you.
Please welcome Ilan Eskar, CEO of the Israeli-American Council and former United States Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism.
Hello, IAC. Is this an exciting night or what? My friends, when President Trump appointed me Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism, what he always called the vile poison of anti-Semitism, and that it is, I never could have imagined that I would be joining an administration that made the fight against Jew hatred, the protection of the Jewish people throughout the world, and the support for the State of Israel a top priority for the United States. We still marvel at his recognition of Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the Jewish people in the State of Israel, of his recognition of Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, of his repudiation of the horrific Iran nuclear deal, and his imposition of crushing sanctions on the evil regime in Tehran. And then, of course, the Abraham Accords. Peace in the Middle East, dream of generations realized. But while we talk about those big things, let me tell you about some of the other things he did, because it is a stunning record of the defense of our people. When President Trump saw that the Palestinian Authority was engaging in the pay-for-slay program, paying terrorists who kill Jews, he said, not with US money, and he cut PA funding. When he saw that anti-Semitic textbooks were being printed by UNRWA, used in the indoctrination of little children in Gaza and in Judea and Samaria, he said, not with our money, he defunded UNRWA. When he saw that anti-Semites were denying Jewish history and Jewish claims, he took out the term occupied territories from the State Department human rights reports, because he said Judea and Samaria isn't occupied. It's part of the Jewish homeland. When he saw obsessive anti-Semitism in the United Nations, he says, I'm out. And he walked out of the UN Human Rights Council. And not only did he do that, he said, if you are an ICC prosecutor and you're going to target the heroes of the IDF, you're not coming to the United States because we're not giving you a visa. When he saw that Jew hatred was being paraded as Israel hatred, he said, not on my watch, and he set forth a brand new policy for the United States. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, period. And yes, let's hear from our students here tonight. Yeah. When he saw that Jewish students were being persecuted on America's campuses, he said, not on my watch, and signed an executive order protecting Jewish kids on campus. Let me tell you, I was there at the White House when he signed it. He signed it and looked right at the camera and he said, let me make this very clear to you. If you're a university president and you are promoting the harassment and bullying of Jewish students, you're going to lose a lot of money. And I'll promise you, not a single university didn't hear that. And so it's a stunning record. And what an honor it is that at the IAC, we can say to him a huge thank you, Mr. President. Dear friends, to introduce my former boss, it is my deepest honor to call to the stage the brilliant physician, the legendary philanthropist, the great Israeli American, the recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, my dear friend, my mentor, Dr. Miriam Adelson.
Shalom IC. Look at all of you. What an amazing energy, electric energy. That's what we felt the first time Shalom and me came to see the Los Angeles IC. It was called different name. And when we saw this crazy energy, Shalom looked at me, I looked at him. Do you know what are we going to do? We are going to do it all over America. So, what a beautiful enthusiasm you have. Thank you. It gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, Am Israel Chai. The nation of Israel lives. But of course, we at the IC are not just Am Israel Chai. In addition to being proud Jews and proud Israelis, we are proud Americans. Now, as you all know, we at the IAC are bipartisan. Our American patriotism transcends politics. So does our promotion of the State of Israel and of its essential alliance with the United States. But with Israel at war and threats facing us here and abroad, we also look to higher values, to preservation of life, and our preservation as a people. That's why Am Israel Chai has become our rallying cry over the last year. We defy those who would destroy us, persecute us, exclude us. And it is why we will always welcome and honor those who look out for us, while others look the other way. Heroes like our distinguished guest tonight, even if he were to retire right now, Donald Trump will have done enough for the Jewish people and for the Jewish state to earn his eternal place in the Jewish history. And he did it all as proud American, knowing that these great United States are at the best when they stand by their best friends, the state of Israel. By taking a stand on Jerusalem, the Golan, Iran, and by bringing the first Middle East peace deal in a quarter of a century, he knows that American Jews did more than their share to make America great, and that antisemitism is a shameful stain on that generation. He knows that promises are meant to be kept, that courage is more important than rhetoric, that vision and values trump slogans and virtue signaling. It's why I feel so privileged to call him my friend, and even more privileged to call him my president. Ladies and gentlemen of the IAC, whether or not you vote for Donald Trump in November is your business, but you should certainly thank him. That's what Jews do. It's what anyone who cares about Israel does. It's what anyone who cares about America does. And it's what we will all do right now. Please join me in welcoming President Donald J. Trump.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee.
Thank you very much, everybody. I figured we'd listen to the whole song, but let's get down to business, right? Let's get down to business. And I want to thank Miriam. This is a great woman, a really great woman who loves Israel, loves the Jewish people. And she's really a special person, so I very much appreciate that she was here to introduce. Thanks also to the Israeli-American Council and CEO, my former special envoy to combat anti-Semitism, who did a phenomenal job. Where is Mr. Carr? He's around here someplace. Where is he? Great job. Great job. Thank you very much. Co-chairs Avi Almozlino and Tal Schuster. Thank you. We have the honor of having a very powerful man with us right now. He's the Speaker of the House, and he's really doing a good job. Mike Johnson. Mike. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Now, one of the very top people in Congress, she's like a rocket ship. She's going up so fast. She totally destroyed the president of Harvard, you saw, with the big glasses, those big glasses. She asked her a simple question, and that was the end. She didn't get a very good answer. Actually, he sounded a little bit like Kamala. But a really special person doing a phenomenal job in Congress, Elise Stefanik. That's a pretty good hand. They jumped up. What was that all about, Elise? That's pretty impressive. Ambassador Michael Herzog. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A friend of mine, a great lawyer, and his beautiful wife is with him, Alan Dershowitz. That was very, very nice. Thank you, Alan. And many other very distinguished guests. I have so many that I can't call because we don't have enough time. We're on television, we're all over the place, and I'm supposed to be calling out names that nobody ever heard of, so we won't do that. But please know that we love you all, including congressmen and senators that are here. We have a lot of them. Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we begin, I just want to mention some polls that just came out. They just came out. Remember in the old days, I used to call the polls because the fake news would never do it. I said, if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. Highly respected Rasmussen poll, one of the most respected polls. According to the Rasmussen, just out a little while ago, we're leading by 8 points, 52 to 44. 8 points, that's good. And they were that's national, and they were very accurate the last time, so a lot of respect for Rasmussen. And they also have us up 11 with independents. That's pretty good. The Emerson poll came out, another good one, highly respected. We're up in Arizona, we're up in Wisconsin, we're up in Pennsylvania, 3 states they did. Oh, I don't believe this, I don't believe it. Even the New York Times has us way up in the Midwest. Can you believe that? Oh, that was painful for them to say. We're 9 up in the Midwest, that's very good. And the Atlanta Journal-Constitution has us 3 up in Georgia, that's good, that's good. And CNN, can you believe this, has us? They did Arizona, 5 up in Arizona, so we're doing well. Daily Express, we're 5 up nationally, in the battleground states. So 47 days from now, we're going to defeat Kamala Harris. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to, quite simply, make America great again, right? We're gathered tonight to talk about the sacred bond between the United States and Israel, and it's a bond that's in serious trouble. There's never been anything like it. I believe that we are closer to World War III than at any time in the history of this country since the Second World War. There's never been anything like this period of time that we're going through, and we have leaders that are grossly incompetent. They have no idea what's happening. In less than 3 weeks, we will mark the 1-year anniversary of the deadliest attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. On October 7th, Hamas terrorists slaughtered more than 1,200 Israelis, including men, women, children, and even little beautiful babies. They tortured, wounded, kidnapped, and horribly maimed thousands more. What a horrible time. Unthinkable. Could not have happened if I was president. Would not have happened. You know that. Iran had no money. There was no money for terror. 28 terror organizations, including Hezbollah and Hamas, they had no money. There were lots of stories about it. We had no terrorism during the Trump administration. Remember that? Tonight we honor the memory of all who lost their lives in the October 7th attacks, and we pray to God that Israel will redeem their deaths with ultimate victory over those who wish to destroy it. And we're honored, thank you very much, and we're honored to be joined this evening by several of the victims of the October 7th attack, that horrible, horrible day. Former Hamas hostage Andrei Kozlov, who was recused. Yeah. Andrei was rescued by the IDF after 8 months of very horrible captivity. I can imagine. Where's Andrei? Is Andrei here someplace? Yes? Yes? Come on up here, Andrei. He's got more courage than I have. Come on up here. Do you want to say something? And he wasn't exactly sure. Say something, Andrei.
I'm a little bit shy. I'm close to Trump, like I'm shy. What can I say? Thank you so much for this careness, and I really appreciate endlessly. Really, thank you.
Well done. We'll see you, man. Congratulations. You look beautiful.
Thank you so much.
He's a good-looking guy. Also with us is Dadi Simchi, the father of Guy Simchi, who was murdered on October 7th. And I will tell you, that was just a horrible thing, and I've said hello. Could you please stand up? What a great gentleman to suffer like he's suffered. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it very much. Would you like to come up? We'd love to honor you. Would you like to come up? Come on up. Come on, in honor of your boy. In honor of your boy.
Thank you very much. I very, very appreciated what you are doing for Israel, what you did, and what you will done, I hope for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great man, what they've had to endure. Also with us are the parents of several of the current hostages, and hopefully we're going to be getting them back very, very soon. Very, very soon. Thank you all for being here. Thank you very, very much. What you're going through is very hard to even understand how it could have happened in the first place. I'd like to ask you just to stand for a second, please, in honor of what we're all here for, because we're going to get them out. They're going to come out. Thank you all very much. That's a great group of people, and that's a lot of people, too. We're going to get them out. We're going to get them out. Thank you. Thank you very much for being with us, and we pray for you, and somehow it's going to work out. We're going to get it to work out. And this evening we repeat the vow that we have kept in our hearts since the terrible day in October. Never again, never again. This should never have ever happened. This should never have happened. Should never have happened. Weak leadership in the United States allowed this to happen, and it should never have happened. It would never have happened. It's so sad to see. 1 year after the horrific massacre, we are instead threatened with a different future, one in which October 7th happens again and again. We have to recognize it again and again. I'm here tonight to deliver an urgent warning to Jewish Americans and to every friend of Israel all around the world. And you have so many Christian friends. They love Israel. So important. I have so many Christian friends, and you know, when I first started running, I will tell you a story. Maybe I shouldn't, but I will. I was campaigning in 2015 in Iowa in a very Christian area, and there were about 6,000 people, and it was in a church, and they were very religious Christians. And the father, the minister, and a few others were there, and they said, "Sir, would you please say something great about Israel?" I said, "Say it again. Say it again," because I didn't realize, you know, in the old days, it wasn't like this. He said, "If I say something good about Israel, that's not a positive for this particular group, is it?" "No, sir. If you say something good about Israel, they'll love you." I said, my, things have changed. How things have changed, right, Miriam? So I was a little bit circumspect, to put it mildly. And I went out there, and that place went wild because they liked me right from the beginning. I don't know why. A lot of people have bad taste, I guess. But they liked me right from the beginning. And I said, we love Israel, and we will save Israel, and we will fight with Israel. And the place went wild. I said, what the hell is going on? They love Israel. I hate to say it. Sometimes they love Israel much more than Jewish people in New York love Israel. Alan Dershowitz knows that. They really do. It's an amazing thing, and that's when it really started, and it was incredible. But you have Christians and evangelical Christians. They love Israel so much, and it's great to see that. It's great to see it. If we continue down our current path with 4 more years of Kamala, and I don't say Harris because when I say Harris, nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about. I just said it to another group. You know, Miriam has me working hard here. I have this group, that group, but this is the big one, right, Miriam? This is the big one. But don't worry, I said that to the last group also. No, she's got me working hard. But it's sort of interesting when you look at what we're doing and how important a mission we're on. If we continue down our current path with 4 more years of Kamala, Israel will be faced not just with an attack, but with total annihilation. And I hate to say it so much. It's total annihilation. That's what you're talking about. You don't have a protector. You have a big protector in me. You don't have a protector on the other side. And I've said long and loud, anybody, and especially over the last few years, anybody who's Jewish and loves being Jewish and loves Israel is a fool if they vote for a Democrat. But beyond that, if they love Israel, anybody that votes for a Democrat or Kamala especially, because this is the worst ever. This is the worst you've ever had. This one makes Barack Hussein Obama look like he loved Israel by comparison. But you should have your head examined, because it will face an unceasing bloody war to obliterate the Jewish state and drive Jews out of the Holy Land. That's what they want to do. They want to drive Jews out of the Holy Land. And they are not forgiving people. You found that out on October 7th. By the way, when Trump was president, you had no problems, did you? None. You had no problems. You ever think of that? I wanted to tell Israel that numerous times during the presidency, but I didn't want to do that and then have something bad happen. But nothing bad was going to happen. They didn't have the money to prosecute the war. Nothing was going to happen. We had everything in check, beautifully in check. And by the way, Russia would have never attacked Ukraine either, just so you know. We wouldn't have had inflation. We wouldn't have had that horrible situation in Afghanistan, where we lost 13 great great soldiers, wear $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment that I bought, beautiful stuff. I bought and they gave it away. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And we wouldn't have that. We left American hostages behind. Remember that. All of that wouldn't have happened. Think of it. October 7th would have not happened. That wouldn't have happened. And we wouldn't have had inflation. It was started by a stupid oil policy and a spending policy. We would have never had inflation, which has destroyed many families. Let me spell out bluntly the danger of 4 more years of weakness in this White House. If Kamala is reelected, Iran will quickly obtain nuclear weapons. They're already about ready to do it, okay? And you know, they were so broke, and I'm not looking to hurt anybody, but they were broke. I had sanctions. Anybody that did any business with Iran could not do business with the United States. I told President Xi of China, if you do business with Iran, if you buy 1 barrel of oil from Iran, you're not doing any more business with the United States, and I'm going to put on tariffs of 200%. And China didn't buy anything, and other countries likewise, other countries. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Iran was ready to do something. They were ready to make a deal. They weren't spending the money because they didn't have the money to spend. And you didn't have a single strike. You had nothing happen during this period of time. It was a beautiful time. Not a single strike. Thank you very much. Thank you. So Iran will right now quickly obtain nuclear weapons capable of killing millions and millions of people. Jewish people, non-Jewish people. There's no discrimination with nuclear weapons, you know that. And the power is unbelievable. And I know because I renovated, fixed, and bought brand new nuclear weapons. We have the greatest nuclear stockpile now. But I hated to do it because the devastation is nothing. This will be Third World War if it happens, and we're relying on stupid people. If it happens, this will not be 2 army tanks going back and forth and shooting. This will be, again, obliteration. This could be world obliteration. And we have to get back to common sense, and we have to get back to good leaders that are respected by the other side. Our leaders are not respected by Russia. They're not respected by China. They're not respected by Kim Jong-un of North Korea. They're not respected, frankly, by anybody. From behind this nuclear shield, the regime will be free to unleash its militant terror brigades to turn the Jewish homeland into hell on earth. They've already started with October 7th. Rockets will rain down from above until the Iron Dome has been exhausted. You know, the Iron Dome is great, but when you send too many, there's not a thing it can do. It's exhausted. It becomes exhausted. They call it that. They want to exhaust, and they send up anything. They call it garbage into the air. Let them keep sending their missiles up, and eventually they don't have any missiles to protect, and that's when it begins. We can't do that. Terrorist death squads will conduct constant raids into Israeli territory from all sides, going door to door and torturing, raping, kidnapping, and massacring innocent civilians. This is what it is, and you know that better than anybody because you've just seen it. A year ago, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem will become unlivable war zones as suicide attacks grind life to a halt. So, as president, I would look at a map of the Middle East, and I'd see a massive, massive piece of land, and I'd see a little dot, just like this stage, and that, right at the top. This would be Israel. And I said to Miriam, I said to Sheldon, I said to friends of mine, how can such a big piece of land, I mean, how could this be possible where you have that little piece of land surrounded by massive numbers of people and soldiers, big armies. Iran has a big army. Big mistake when another administration took out Iraq. You know, you had two for centuries. They would fight each other under different names, under religion, but they were the same strength. and they'd fight and fight and fight, and then they'd relax, and then they'd fight and fight and fight. This went on for centuries. And then somebody who wasn't a very smart person eliminated one of the sides, and the other one was left with nobody to fight. And now the other one basically has Iraq as a subsidiary, and Iraq is very rich, and so is Iran very rich. When I was there, Iran had no money. Now Iran has $350 billion, all made in 3.5 years. They took off the sanctions. But Iraq is like a subsidiary of Iran. Don't let anyone ever tell you. And Iraq has over $300 billion. So this is a very rich two nations, and they are essentially one. And they're getting closer and closer all the time. This is a nightmare that should have never happened. Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, you see the Houthis all over? They've long dreamed of making all of this come true, and if Kamala Harris wins the election, her weakness and incompetence, she's grossly incompetent. Look, she can't do an interview, okay? And let me tell you, I won that debate by a lot. By a lot. You know, I walked off the stage, I said, man, did I beat her, even though I was against 3 people. I kept saying, I said, what are you doing here? And you know, the things I said were right. Like I said, we have massive increases in crime. And David Muir said, that's not true. The statistics show that crime is going down. Anybody in their right mind, take a look at what's happening from the border. That we have crime that's worse. I said, you're wrong on that. Crime is going down. Now let's go to the next one. I said, what the hell was that all about? I only have one regret, that I wanted to be elegant and I didn't want to attack the anchors, which would have been very easy to do. So I didn't attack them, but I should have attacked them because it was 3-on-1. It's like a basketball game, 3-on-1. It's very hard. But we did well. And you know what? Since the debate, we're getting great kudos because they're analyzing the debate. They say, you know, Trump was right. I was right on everything. She made up all these stories, a bloodbath story. She made up all of these stories. It's disgraceful. And that's the problem we have. We have a fake media, and so we have to fight harder, and we have to be stronger, and we have to be much smarter. And by the way, Israel and Jewish people are attacked by the media that I can't even believe. The New York Times is controlled by a Jewish family. I don't think there's anybody worse to Israel than the New York Times is. I read articles about Israel that I know are false. The New York Times and plenty of others. So my message today is very simple. If you want Israel to survive, you need Donald J. Trump as the 47th president of the United States. It's a very simple message. Very, very simple. Right? Thank you, everybody. Under my leadership, America will once again stand shoulder to shoulder with our friend and ally, the State of Israel. Right now, all they do is fight the State of Israel. Don't do this, don't do that. I will support the same people that gave us Afghanistan are telling you what to do, by the way, which every one of those generals should have been fired. You know, I knocked out ISIS in 4 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. I did it in 4 weeks. I had great generals. We have the greatest army in the world. But not the people that are on television. These are people that don't know what the hell they're doing. They should have all been fired. I will support Israel's right to win its war on terror, and it has to win it fast. Will you please win it fast? Win it, but you have to win it fast if you can. And I would always, thank you very much. I will always defend Israel's fundamental right to exist as a Jewish nation in the Jewish homeland. That's what it's about, isn't it? But remember this, you're under attack like never before. There's never been a time like this that people can remember. This was a period, they say, if you read, and I find it very interesting, but this was just before the Holocaust. I think there's a very great similarity because nobody can believe what's been happening. If Kamala Harris wins instead of the most pro-Israel president ever, which I have been already declared to be, you will have the most anti-Israel president by far, far worse than Barack Hussein Obama. Over the past 12 months, Kamala Harris has repeatedly demanded an immediate ceasefire to save Hamas. She wants to save Hamas. Meanwhile, she and Biden deployed U.S. military to build a $230 million pier to resupply Hamas. The pier didn't work out too well. Every time there was a little rough weather, the thing got ripped apart. Those of you in the real estate business know what I'm going to say. Those contractors made a hell of a lot of money. $230 million every time there's a little rain. It blew apart. Wonderful job. This was not General Patton's bridge. General Patton knew how to build them. He built them fast and cheap. Kamala Harris has even suggested that she would consider imposing a full arms embargo against Israel, and what she wants to do. One thing about politicians, like she wants to defund the police, she wants to do all these things, no fracking, you know, now she wants fracking. No fracking. For 20 years, there will be no fracking. And then she's a chameleon. He said, that's true. She just yesterday reaffirmed her support for blocking major arms shipments, as you know, to Israel. She blocked them. If these are positions Kamala Harris takes before the election, just wait to see what she would do after the election. You won't have a country left. Israel will be doomed. I really mean that. Israel will be doomed. And, you know, I said to Miriam today, I said, you know, they have to go through a little tough love here today because we have to tell the facts. Israel will not exist within 2 years if she becomes president. And what a difference a president makes. Big difference. Just 4 years ago, when I left office, the United States and Israel were safer, closer, and stronger than they have ever been before, by far. Under my leadership, we totally obliterated the ISIS caliphate. We terminated its founder and leader, al-Baghdadi. I withdrew from the horrendous Iran nuclear deal and imposed the toughest ever sanctions on the Iranian regime. They had no money. They wanted to make a deal. The saddest part, they had no money. They wanted to make a deal. And these guys came in and they never made a deal. You could have made any deal, but now they're rich again because he took all the sanctions off and everybody started buying, in particular China. China went from buying nothing under Trump to buying billions and billions of dollars of oil a month. I withdrew from the anti-Semitic UN Human Rights Council, which was a big thing. I sanctioned the anti-American and anti-Israel radicals of the International Criminal Court. Many of you know what that meant. That was a big deal. I defunded the Palestinian Authority and choked off all of the money to Hamas. Don't forget, nobody ever did that. I said, how much are we paying them? Almost $1 billion, sir. I say, they treat us so disrespectfully. They say death to America, and we're giving them money. Why are we giving them money when they say death to America? So I said, how much money do we give them? Almost $1 billion. I said, tell them they're in default. You're not supposed to treat us that way when we give you money. Tell them that they won't be getting money anymore until such time as we make a deal. And I will tell you, we had them very, very close, and then we had an election that really hurt it, and too bad. But we did do the Abraham Accords and other things, but I would have even preferred to do this. We would have had something done. Just as I promised, I recognized Israel's eternal capital and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Jerusalem became the capital. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. You know, Miriam and Sheldon would come into the White House probably almost more than anybody outside of people that worked there. And they were always after, and as soon as I'd give them something, always for Israel. As soon as I'd give them something, they'd want something else. I said, give me a couple of weeks, will you please? But I gave them the Golan Heights, and they never even asked for it. You know, for 72 years, they've been trying to do the Golan Heights, right? And even Sheldon didn't have the nerve. But I said, you know what? I said to David Friedman, give me a quick lesson, like 5 minutes or less on the Golan Heights. And he did. And I said, let's do it. We got it done in about 15 minutes, right? Yeah. 72 years. You know, for 72 years, it's true. Planes would fly in, fly out, fly in. In the old days, there weren't such nice planes. But they'd fly in every year. They'd have a meeting on the Golan Heights. They'd have lunch. They'd have dinner. They'd have this. They'd have that. They'd leave. Nothing would happen, right? And then one day, Trump came along, and it was done very quickly. 4 years ago, last Sunday, we signed the historic Abraham Accords. It's a big deal. And secured peace in the Middle East. That was peace in the Middle East, really. 4 very strong countries, and we would have had all of the countries signed. I'll even make, we would have had, in my opinion, I know this sounds ridiculous, I believe Iran even would have signed because of all of the benefits and all of the trade and all of the other things. I believe that, but we won't get a chance to see that because the 4 countries are still 4 countries. Within 6 months, we would have had just about all of the countries done. Biden and Kamala have done no countries into the Abraham. It's still there with the 4, but nothing's been added to it. It's a shame. But from the moment Kamala got to the White House, she and Crooked Joe took over historic successes and turned them into unprecedented failure and peril. You know that. Harris restored funding to the Palestinian organizations immediately, giving them billions and billions of dollars. And much of that money went directly to Hamas. Then Kamala and Joe Biden delivered over $100 billion in sanctions relief, all stuff that I held back. And I would have been very good. They would have been very happy. I wanted one thing from Iran: no nuclear weapon. I didn't want much. No nuclear weapon. And now they're very close to getting it, and you can't let that happen. They're very close to getting it. Here at home, Kamala's partnered, and she's partnered with anybody she can. You hear the things coming out of the administration. You hear what they're saying. But she pandered to the Hamas supporters and the anti-Semites in her own party. The things she says, it's not even believable. She said that radical anti-Israel demonstrators at college campuses were, quote, showing what human emotion should be. Oh, isn't that nice? I'm telling you, Israel has no chance. Jewish people that love Israel have no chance. As border czar, which she denies she ever was, but she was the border czar. But even if she wasn't, she was in charge of the border. So what difference does it make? She let in thousands and thousands of terrorists at our southern border. 21 million people, of which thousands of terrorists have poured in. When I was there, I let in almost none, almost none. They had a chart that was a very well-known chart. I liked it very much. It's probably my favorite chart of all time. Remember that? I looked to the right. Let me see that chart. I looked. It's my favorite chart of all time, but it showed the great numbers that we had. But one of the numbers that was released recently was that in 2019, one of my years, I don't believe this number, by the way. It was done by Homeland Security. I appreciate it, but I don't believe it. I had no terrorists coming into the United States. They had 0. Now we have thousands. So I don't believe the 0, but the number was very low. 10, 12, 5. How can it be 0? But they actually have 0. That I had 0 terrorists. So we used to check it, but we had very little. Now we have thousands and thousands of terrorists pouring into our country. It's so sad, and only bad can happen. Only bad things are going to happen. She imported migrants from terrorist hotspots all over the world, and now we have armies of jihadist sympathizers brazenly marching through the streets of our cities. I've never seen anything like it. Where did they come from? How did they get here? Kamala Harris is the candidate of the forces that want to destroy Western civilization. The other day, in fact, it was yesterday, the FBI reported that Iran has spied on my campaign. I'm going to have to hire Alan Dershowitz. Only Alan Dershowitz can do it. Iran has spied on my campaign. Think of this. And given the information to Kamala. What's that all about? That alone should get me elected. Think of it. Iran got the information from my campaign and gave it immediately to Kamala and the campaign apparatus over on the other side. I'm the candidate of those who want to defend Western civilization, defend Israel, and defend the United States of America. When I return to the White House, we will quickly restore stability in the Middle East, and we will return the world to peace. And remember the phrase, peace through strength. You know, I had no wars for 4 years. I remember crooked Hillary Clinton. Remember, she was up debating me, and she said, look at him. Look at his rhetoric. He's going to cause wars. I said, no, my rhetoric's going to keep us out of wars. And that's what happened. We had no war for 4 years, other than I finished off ISIS. No war. First time in 78 years, by the way, just to brag a little bit, because nobody else is going to say it if I don't. Israel will have the support it needs and the powerful ally that it deserves in the United States. Here at home, I will ban refugee resettlement from terror-infested areas like the Gaza Strip. We will restore the travel ban, some people call it the Trump travel ban, and keep the radical Islamic terrorists out of our country. That was upheld by the Supreme Court, and it really did work. Again, we had no terrorist attacks into the United States. Think of it. Now I'm talking United States, if that's okay. We had no terrorist attacks for 4 years. Nothing. Nothing. They knew, don't play games with us. And we will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers and Hamas supporters from our midst. We will get them out. If you hate America, if you want to eliminate Israel, we will throw you out of our country so rapidly your head will spin. We're going to get them back. We're going to get those beautiful kids in some cases, because they're always your children. You know, they'll say, oh, he said children. No, they're always your children. And some older people also, by the way, but we're going to get them back. We got to get them back. We can't let this happen again. So incredible that you're to make the trip, so many people. It makes me realize how important this is, Miriam, frankly, for so many people to make the trip. And there's nothing more important than what you're going through. And there's nothing more important than the people that you love. And it will be so beautiful to see it work out well. We got to make it work out well. Got to make it. And to confront the crisis of anti-Semitism at our universities, I will tell college presidents that they must end the anti-Semitic propaganda, or they will lose their accreditation and they will lose all federal support. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is the most important election in the history of the United States, and it's also the most important election in the history of Israel. Can you imagine that? A non-Israeli election is the single most important election that Israel will ever have. Isn't that something? With all I have done for Israel, I received only 24% of the vote. But I understood that. That was in 2016. And, you know, it's one of those things. I thought I'd do much better. I happen to have a Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish son-in-law. I have 3 Jewish grandchildren. I thought I'd do much better. But I only got 24%. Think of that. And then I became president of the United States and was the best president ever for Israel and for the Jewish people by far. Nobody was close. I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the Abraham Accords. I recognized the capital of Israel and opened the embassy in Jerusalem. And most importantly of all, I terminated the Iran nuclear deal, which was the worst deal ever made in the history of Israel, in the history of the Middle East. I was there 4 years, gave them billions and billions of dollars. I was the best friend Israel ever had. And still in 2020, now I've done all these things, so now Jewish people have no excuse. I got 29%. I went from 25 to 29%. Think of that. Honestly, you didn't treat yourselves well. You didn't. It was a terrible thing. And what made me even more upset about it is the current polling has just been announced. Now, I just announced the polls and I'm now polling at about 40%. That means 60% of Jewish people are going to vote for Kamala or a Democrat. And honestly, you ought to have your heads examined. You ought to have your heads examined. And those votes may be necessary for us to win. I say us to win because we're in this together. But who are these people? Who are the 60% that would vote? And I really believe that bad things, very bad things are going to happen. And I'll put it to you very simply and as gently as I can. I wasn't treated properly by the voters who happen to be Jewish. I don't know, do they know what the hell is happening? If I don't win this election, and the Jewish people would really have a lot to do with that if that happens, because at 40%, that means 60% of the people are voting for the enemy. Israel, in my opinion, will cease to exist within 2 years, and I believe I'm 100% right. You know, there's a hat that comes out, Trump was right about everything, and I believe I'm right. And that's a hell of a thing to say, but I believe I'm right. If I do win, Israel will be safe and secured. We will stop the toxic poison of anti-Semitism from spreading here. All over America, it's spreading. It's spreading like it's never spread before. I've never seen anything like it. I really believe it would be obliteration, and it'll happen quickly, too. It's very close to happening. With your vote, we will reject anti-Semitism in our schools, reject it in our foreign policy. We will reject it in our immigration system. But all of that starts with rejecting Kamala Harris at the ballot box this election. Number one, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She doesn't know. She can't do an interview. How do you think she'll do against President Xi? She can't do an interview. And I'm not even saying she's stupid for not doing that, but her handlers know what they're doing. Can't have it. We went through 4 years of that. We can't go through another 4 years of that. Together, we will save the United States of America, and we will save the state of Israel on November 5th, 2024. It will be the most important day in the history of Israel. It'll be the most important day in the history of the United States. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. God bless Israel. Thank you.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, there ain't no doubt I love this land.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you. And thank you for President Trump. Omer Nyuta was born in New York City 23 years ago and grew up on Long Island. He was the captain of his high school's basketball and volleyball teams and the regional president at the United Synagogue Youth Movement. After spending a year in Israel, Omer decided to join the IDF. He was taken hostage on October 7 while serving as a tank commander near Gaza. Idan Alexander was born in Tel Aviv 20 years ago and grew up in Tenafly, New Jersey. As the eldest of three, Idan has always been a role model for his younger sister and brother. After graduating from high school, Idan decided to come to Israel and join the IDF's Golani Brigade. On October 7, he was stationed near Gaza and was taken hostage by Hamas terrorists. Today, 347 days later, Omer and Idan are still being held captive by Hamas in Gaza. Please welcome Omer's parents, Orna and Ronen Nyuta, and Idan's parents, Yael and Adi Alexander.